Do you want an Airbnb property in just days and not months? Well, what I want to do is I want to talk about three things. If I was brand new in Airbnb and brand new as a real estate investor, what are some things that I would actually do to get my first property? Well, I think most people make the mistake when they're trying to get into Airbnb is they think that they should Airbnb in their own city, right? And so most people think, oh, if I live in a city, I should Airbnb there because you think that you know the area, right? Which the biggest mistake that people make in Airbnb is to Airbnb in their own market. Now, let me back up a little bit because I think a lot of people need to know certain markets are great and maybe you live in an amazing city. But is it really the city? So if we're going to go by step number one, it's not the actual city that determines if it's a good Airbnb area. It's actually a zip code. Let me give you an example. Let's say you live in Atlanta. Well, there's a lot of great places of Atlanta. There's also a lot of places that you probably don't want to be at midnight without a bulletproof vest in Atlanta. If I just told you that Atlanta was a great market for Airbnb, but I didn't tell you what zip code, what happens if you end up in an area that's probably not the best? And if you wouldn't want to be there, what do you think your guests are going to feel like? They're going to feel like as soon as they get to that area that they don't want to be there either. And so you have to determine the right zip codes. So what we do for our students is not only do we tell you the best cities, which we took about 30,000 cities and broke it down to a list of about 25 major markets, and then a little bit of the sub-markets in between them. So Nashville's on fire, Houston's on fire, Dallas is on fire, Jacksonville, Orlando, Scottsdale, Las Vegas, Henderson. These are a lot of the great markets. Myrtle Beach, Charleston, South Carolina, Greenville, South Carolina. And so, but what I like to do is I like to try to break it down into zip codes. So step number one is you want to find a great city where there's a lot of people traveling into it. There's a lot of major hospitals and there's a lot of job growth. All right. So we want to take Orlando and then we want to break it down into the zip codes that are the closest to major hospitals. So if you remember these 4 H's right here, this is how the most successful Airbnb hosts actually operate. They operate on the 4H method: hills, hospitals, hotels, and H2O. Let me break this down so you understand what these mean. If I was finding an Airbnb and I'm looking for a property, I want to make sure I'm close to one of these 4 H's. Now, to be specific, you want to be less than 3 miles or less than a 10-minute drive. Hills, I want you to think about mountains. So if you can envision Chattanooga, right? If you can envision places in Georgia where they've got the mountains, that's going to be the hills. And so if I can be within 3 miles or a 10-minute drive of the hills, I'm generally going to do well for Airbnb. Number 2, that's going to be hotels. Now, I don't want you to think of the Red Roof Inn. We're talking about Marriott's, Hilton, DoubleTrees, some of the biggest and best hotels. You want to be close to the big hotels, the major ones, because if they're charging $300, $400, $500 a night, and you can find a 2-bedroom property that you can rent out on Airbnb for $150 to $250 a night, you're going to beat out the competition. Remember, hotel and Airbnb is the same business. It's just the hotel has more units. Airbnb is the same business because it's known as a hospitality business. So if you can be close within 3 miles or less of a major hotel, you're generally going to do well and you're going to beat out the competition of big hotels. 3 is going to be H2O. Now, this is a staple piece. This is the gold of this video. If you can find a property, when I say find a property, you're just going to Zillow, you're going to Hotpads, and you're targeting properties that are basically for rent. Now, I'm not looking to buy a property. What I've taught my 3,000 students in a decade I've been doing this is we're just going to rent the property. So you guys know this is called Airbnb arbitrage. And so I want you to think about it this way. If I can rent a property from a landlord who's going to sign a document called lease addendum, which is essentially a document that gives the permission to us to use their property for Airbnb. They're completely fine. They're fine with it. And the reason why they're fine with it is because of this next gem I'm going to give you, which is on Zillow in the top right corner. You're going to see a filter button. When you click on that top right filter, it's going to drop down a box. It's going to allow you to pick properties that have been sitting on rent for more than 6 months. You want to target properties that are more than 6 months. So if you look right here, you see where this is? This is where you're going to target, where it says days on Zillow. Right there, you want that on 6 months because that's actually going to be able to target a landlord who's in pain because they haven't been able to rent their property for a couple months. And then when we go to them, they're willing to let us use their property for Airbnb. This is a method called Airbnb arbitrage. And so that's going to be a property that, when I say H2O, that means the property has a pool. It has a hot tub at the location. It also may have an ocean or a lake view. These properties, just so you know, will always do better than any other property on the market for Airbnb, because a hot tub and a pool, those two, are the top two amenities that people search for when they go to Airbnb. If you have a property with a pool or a hot tub, you're going to be in search the most, because that's what people are searching for. People want pools and hot tubs. So if we can have that at our house, that's a huge plus already. And the fourth H is going to be my favorite, and that is the hospital method. What does this exactly mean? There's a thing called vacation rentals. Some of you guys probably have heard of this, where people are coming into Airbnb. You're going to have people partying. You're going to have people drinking. There's going to be some drugs. There's going to be neighbors complaining. There's going to be people that go in and out every day. That's known as a vacation rental. What I teach is called corporate rental. And that's a fancy way of saying what we want to come into our property are people coming into work. So think of a travel nurse, a doctor, patients, engineers, chiropractors, military. These people are coming into the property. They're generally going to stay for longer, 2 to 3 weeks, 2 to 3 months at a time. And if you think about it, they're not coming into actual vacation. They're actually staying because they want to be close to work. So if you want to target travel professionals, what you're going to look for are properties that are less than 3 miles from major hospitals. Houston sees 10.5 million patients a year. Do you think it's a good area if you're going to do corporate rentals? Of course. Jacksonville, we have massive hospitals. We have one of the hospitals that everybody around the world comes right into Jacksonville, known as the Mayo Clinic. If I can find properties less than 2 miles, 3 miles from the Mayo Clinic, is it going to do good on Airbnb? Absolutely. It's going to crush it. And we do crush it here because people travel all over the world to come to these major hospitals. Think HCA, think of Baptist, think of Shands, think of, Mayo Clinic. All these hospitals that you see nationwide that are thousands and thousands of patients, people are coming in to work. A travel nurse travels all over. A doctor, patients who are coming in for surgery. So what this gift of this video that I'm going to give you is that these 4 H's are the absolute cornerstone behind getting a good property. If you think about it this way, what I like to do in any situation is I try to combine 2 H's together. What I've done for the last 9 years is I combine the H2O and the hospital. So in a perfect world, you would find a property that has a pool or a hot tub at it, and it's less than 3 miles from a major hospital. That right there, that key right there is worth its weight in gold, and you can take it to the bank with you. So if I'm starting over, I'm brand new in Airbnb. You're watching me right now, you're like, I'm brand new, I don't even know where to start. First step is to pick the right city. And to be honest, since it doesn't have to be anywhere where you live, and I teach the whole business remotely for our students, it doesn't matter. Just pick a good market, because I can show you how to do it in Bumblefuck, Minnesota. It doesn't matter. And so if you knew that you can go anywhere and get a property, why don't you pick a good market? So let's just say that we pick Scottsdale. First thing you're going to do is go to Zillow, top left corner. You're going to go right here and you're going to put the city. The second thing you're going to do is you're going to make sure that the property rent is under $2,700. You don't need a $5,000 Beverly Hills property. Third filter over is bedrooms and bathrooms. You want to make sure that you are targeting 2, 3, and 4. That's it. The 2, 3, and 4 bedroom properties do really, really well. 4, and this filter over here, you're going to make sure that you're targeting properties that are single family and townhouses. You don't want to start with apartments. Now, if you're watching right now and you have an apartment, you have an Airbnb ready, then sure, you can target the apartments as well. But if you're watching and you don't have any properties, target single families and townhouses, because Jack and Jill, who own 123 Lala Street, is much easier to get a property from them than to go get a signed document from BlackRock or Blackstone or one of these apartment deals to let you Airbnb, okay? And then the last one is the filter on the right, like I was talking about. Make sure you're filtering that by property time on Zillow, 6 months or more. So that's step number 1. You pick the city, Scottsdale, you go down Zillow, boom. Now, what you're gonna do is you're gonna take the address from a property and you're gonna put it into a software. I'm gonna give you guys a free gift for being here. I want you to go to this software right here and go set up a free account with AirDNA. That's AIRDNA.co. Set it up, take the address from Zillow, post it into AirDNA. It's gonna give you the revenue per year for that property. The software is 98.7% accurate. So it's almost as good as gold. I've been using it for many, many years. It has not failed us. It has not failed our students. It's a gift for you guys being here. But take the address from Zillow, put it in the software. Software gives you the revenue. The formula to determine whether or not that property is good for Airbnb is that it brings in $1,000 or more per month for each property. Now, just because I have to do my earnest disclaimer, everybody's background, education, work ethic, drive, and the way the property's managed is all different. However, if you knew that the blueprint, what we teach our students, which is basically take the revenue, what it gives you in AirDNA, divide by 12 months, and then minus out whatever the rent payment is off Zillow, and then minus an additional $400 for electric and water. This gives you the formula for your potential net profit. If that number that you're looking at is above $1,000, you have a good Airbnb. Last step, now you have a good property. What do I say to the landlord? What you're gonna do is find the property on Zillow again, and then you're gonna scroll down, you're gonna see a blue box that says ask a question. It's like you're sending a message to the landlord. Put these 6 words in and you'll thank me later. Are you open to corporate rentals? They're gonna come back, they're gonna most likely don't know what that is. It's gonna open up a conversation, and then from there, the next question you wanna ask is how far are you from XYZ hospital? So they might say, I'm not interested, or they might say, hey, I'm open to it. Well, then you just go right back and say, great, I really appreciate the response. How close are you to XYZ hospital? XYZ hospital is the hospital that is the major hospital in the city that you're trying to get close to, right? And the reason for that is because you want to say that we work with travel professionals, like the nurses, the doctors, the patients. Doesn't it make sense that if you're working with travel professionals, you're asking a question about how close they are to the hospital, that it kind of ties together with corporate leasing? Good, we're going to keep your property in for-sale condition, Mr. Landlord. We have no smokers, no pets, generally no little children. We'll keep the property in immaculate condition all the way through, okay? We're not gonna have the kids out there, painting back bedrooms green and pink. We're not gonna have dogs out in the backyard digging holes. We treat the property like it's our own all the way through. We'll sign a 1-year lease with you today. We know you've been sitting on a property for 6 months. It's been vacant, but we're ready to move forward and we're serious. We'll make sure every single monthly payment is on time. Let's do a deal, shall we? And then you pitch the deal. Okay, if you guys want help with this, we've been doing it for about a decade. Any questions you have, feel free to put them in the comments. I appreciate all the follows, all the shares, you guys. And if you have any questions, feel free to message. If you want to book a call, I'll put a link in there as well. You can set up a free strategy call with my team. We can go through, we can look to see if it's a good fit for us to work together. But we have over 3,000 students that are doing really well. Love to have you part of our family. Just wanted to share this with you so you guys have a real kind of beginner blueprint on how to get your first property. Again, message me below any questions you guys have. I do check all the DMs on a daily basis. And if you want, click the link below. You'll see a place where you can book a free strategy call. Love to have you a quick conversation and see if it's a good fit for us to work together. God bless. Bye.